What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Yimbo. Welcome to my channel, Yimbo Reviews Everything. And this is my show that I do every Sunday at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. This is Yimbo Buys Everything. So welcome, everybody. If you are joining us live, here we go. Let's check the chat real quick. Fellow lazy boy, that's my boy June. So Thor 2012. They will be going live after me. So that's Thor 2012, Blitzfigs, and Green Geek 88. George is in the house. Agent Variant, how you doing, my man? What's going on? And Rabbits Den Collectibles. Hey, look at this. We got a nice turnout. All right, Mr. Tartella, Jareth, what's going on, dude? And there's Blitz. And Toy Addict 17, what is going on, dude? So this is jumping the gun. Normally, I take care of the housekeeping at the end, but Toy Addict 17 will be joining me on March 27th as my special guest. So very excited for that. So this is episode 37 of Yimbo Buys Everything. And tonight, I am joined by my guest, SideFigGig2 on Instagram, a.k.a. Cal. So I'm going to bring him in right now. So just give me 1 second. Make sure my volume's up. So here he is. Let's go, Cal. Just bring it right in here, bud. How are you?
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, it's great, man. So UK time. What time is it over there right now?
We are at 1:45. I'm glad you went live on Instagram first because I totally thought it was an hour later.
Oh man, I had the daylight savings time is not a parent's friend whatsoever. So yeah, I was well aware. That's the wife and I. That's starting the bedtime early, get the toddlers in that time to go to sleep. Skip the nap today. It was a whole thing. So Cal, very nice to finally get to talk to you in person, get to talk to you live. So very nice. Now my very first question before I even get into anything, you actually this is your second account, right? So I want to touch base because I've been super curious about that. So what happened? Because as far as I know, you have, my little Google searching, you're a ringside collectibles photographer, right? Am I mistaken?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So dude, the stuff that you shoot is you expect to see 50,000 followers, your stuff is brilliant. So what happened with that first account? Because that's it's heartbreaking.
Well, first of all, thank you. That's I really appreciate that. I'm not very good at taking praise, but I really appreciate that. It's not a super interesting story. I think it was a Friday night. I'd done a post for that day, and I had an email from a friend, and he said, "Oh, something weird going on with your account." Couldn't log in, and then I tried to contact Instagram a lot over the next couple of weeks,
right?
And I never heard back from them, and that was it really. Nothing too exciting.
Oh man,
I randomly tried getting back in once I got this account up and running again, and at that point it'd been over a month, and there was a vague message to sort of say, it sort of implied that maybe I broke the community rules, which I don't understand.
Sure.
I've been racking my brains how I thought I could I always keep my Instagram a positive space, but there's never really been any. Luckily for me, there's never really been any negativity in the space that I have there. But the only thing I can think of is perhaps on a Sunday, I have a themed shot, and I call it Bloody Sunday, and that's where I'll use sort of blood effects on a wrestling. So maybe slightly perceived as a bit more violent. That's the only thing I can think of, really. Outside that, I have no idea.
Oh, what a bummer. Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, then let's not, because that is a horrific for anybody trying to build their account on Instagram. It's right in the feels, man.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been trying to do my part, and with the pick bar, to get the word out, to try to.
No, I don't appreciate that. Away, I have to say, actually, the community they got behind me so in such a massive way I really wasn't expecting, and comments that I'd heard from friends sort of say, that even when I was, between the two accounts, they were really supportive and seemed to genuinely be worried about where I was, and that was so sweet. And so now I'm sort of looking forward now, just working on coming back to. So I was close to some goals. That was sort of the main bomber. I felt like I was sort of circling the rim on a few things that I'd been working on, but
Yeah.
Only one way forward.
I hear you, and that's a great mindset to have, because else, what else are you gonna do? You know, like eventually when your hands get tied. All right, so let's get to the fun conversation. So, like I'm gonna get into like asking how you got into all of this stuff, but what I think a fun first question is, what was the first figure? Because I really feel like I've narrowed down like two for me, but like what were the first figure or two when you, however small you were, that you looked and went, oh yeah, this is it? Because I feel like you really do, early on.
Yeah, and so I was watching your interview with Frank last week, and I had to rack my brain and really think about that. I wanted to be prepared. So it's not really one. There's about five. Three are from the Hasbro's
Okay.
line. So I remember a Hulk Hogan, the press slam one. I remember a Jake Roberts, who came with a snake, and then I remember a Rick Rude, which I think was a headlock punch deal. So those two were the wrestling ones, and my earliest memory is actually recreating the Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan match.
Nice.
Me and my cousin kicking out at 2.9. But the non-wrestling action figures was the old Playmates, that first initial line of the TMNT guys, and that's Leonardo, and I remember that. And
yeah, they're back there somewhere.
Yeah. And the other one, and I'm not sure what line it was. It's not something I've actually looked into. It was an old, I think it was like a Burton Batman, and it had a belt that was like a drawstring that acted like a grappling hook.
I know what you're talking about.
So those were the three I can think of, my earliest memories of just like not being anywhere specific, but always having them in my hands. So those were those were mine. Bit of a cheat answer to the question, but
no, that's fantastic, because really, like, it is very hard to just name one. Like I can't, because like when you look back, when you're, like, I'm gonna be 40 in May, so like when I look back to like when I was 3, it's more of like a muddled childhood nostalgic. Like I remember always having this little Spidey, a little Batman, so I know what you're talking about. And that Batman figure, oh my god, with the drawstring, I still have him. The chest is all scraped away, and the belt is long gone. But I love that figure.
I love that. And I think there were, if I remember rightly, there were different versions, because I remember having a Robin. But obviously, Robin wasn't introduced until Forever.
Right.
So yeah, but it was definitely that Batman for sure.
Yeah, that Robin was the animated series. That's also, like, to this day, I still might say that's my favorite cape on an action figure. Like the black and yellow, it had the two sewn down with the little clip. Oh my god.
Yeah, the clip is what I remember. Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, that Robin. Yeah, because I have him somewhere too. He had the glider, because the cape could pop off, and it was the chest piece. It was fun.
That's awesome.
All right, so I wrote down some questions for you, because I wanted to like pick your brain. So that's interesting that you weren't a ringside, because actually I wanted to show, because I've been trying to up my production. So I have over here this. When I Googled, this is what came up, was a Sammy Guevara post. Look at this shot, man.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's where I was like, oh, like, because it was like, get yours at rings. I was like, oh, look at my boy. Look at this, is awesome. And this is what an incredible shot. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So this was actually quite a big post for me back. I think it's about a year ago now. And me and Sammy had a little back and forth on it. He really liked it too, and I think that's when. So I think at that point, that's when my growth started going a bit higher. It was the engagement from Sammy as, ringside sharing this, because I don't think my photography style necessarily lends itself to always be what ringside are looking for to sell their toys.
Sure.
But yeah, this was definitely one I was proud of, and this was really before I'd really found. I guess my voice is the right word. It's a bit pretentious, but before I knew what settings and lighting I wanted to use for this was when I was still sort of figuring stuff out. But yeah, I was really proud of this one. I really like. I was thinking about this today actually. I was thinking, should I do like a reshoot of this one?
It's incredible. I mean, seriously, that is some spectacular work. So how do you end up shooting? Are you a stand user? Do you use wires? Like what's your setup process?
So when I shot this, it's different how I shoot now. Matt Goldberg taught me, basically told me how he strung up his figures.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I would use the extreme sets as I would sort of position it like a C, and then have just like a piece of wood across, and then I'd hang. That's a lot of wear on the Dio. So I was trying to look for a different way. So now what I do is I have a tripod that has like a gap where I can just grab a big long wooden ruler, and then I clip them from there. But yeah, it's so weird because when I started taking pictures, I wasn't even really aware of a community. I was just like, I was bored, and I initially bought a figure, and then it just sort of exploded from there.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like, my first shot was on my old iPhone, and I didn't know anything about editing or anything. All I knew was I found this app that you could take the wires out. So I've pretty much always been doing wire work since I started.
Oh, that is impressive, man. That's honestly like the one of the big reasons I haven't done more. Like, even though we have like a wrestling collab, and like I put it like my stuff, I know in the wrestling space, like I don't even have the setup for that. Like, I know Slobberknocker Fig Photos. He's told me, he showed me his setup when he does the wire stuff. The things you guys do is just, it blows my mind. So I'm happy doing like entrance shots and like easy finishers, because that stuff is so incredible. Like, looking at my little, I'm like, there's no way.
No, you could definitely do this. We could have one, maybe two conversations, and you'd be stringing up no problem.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, so let's get into your origin story then. So I know for me, like I decided for me, like deciding like was it December 2019? I'm like, I'm gonna like focus on my toy collection. Like, I have enough stuff, like, and then obviously, the world in lockdown and all of those things. So were you a pre-lockdown? Because I feel like that's kind of like a moment for a lot of people, like rediscovering hobbies. So that's why I kind of go to that spot first.
Well, so Carrie, sorry.
Oh no. I was just wondering, like, when the toy photography, because I was definitely like, I didn't realize that was a thing. So until like really diving into the toy community, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. This is so cool. But I had no idea. I thought I was just like, a shelf display guy. So I'm just curious. Yeah, I was just curious about like a pre and post world, 2020.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't class myself as a collector. I don't display because we just don't have the room where I am. But so I played with sort of taking pictures with toys in the past before I literally knew anything. I was on a TMNT sort of craze at the time, and I was just buying all the Playmates because I'm a really big fan of the 2012 CG show on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And then I bought the Rebel text for that show. And I was just sort of taking pictures just out in my garden and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stopped doing that. I felt like I hit a wall. Like I said, I didn't know about communities and stuff like that. And I think Instagram was a bit of a different space back then.
Mm-hmm.
I always had that itch. There was always something like, you still, like, every time I go shopping, we'll go to the toy section. Every time, when Toys R Us was still open, like it still had that sort of, if I was feeling grumpy or if I had a bad day, I'd just go to Toys R Us, and I wouldn't always get something, but it would always cheer me up. So about a year and a half ago, when Jazzwares first announced they were starting their Unrivaled line, was really when I was like a big fan of Cody at the time, Cody Rhodes. And, his whole thing was like, do the work and stuff like that. And that was like the beginning part of lockdown as well. So I was exercising a lot, and his sort of promos, for whatever reason, were just sort of like fueling that. Right, I need to make sure I get up at 6 a.m. and do a workout, or run at lunch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll just buy his figure. I'll have it. It'll go on my shelf above my desk, and it'll just be something cool to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing I see is the authentic ring. I don't know the timescales exactly.
Right,
but I was like, well, I'm not really thinking about how big that would be. And I got the ring, and I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. And then that's when something clicked, and I was like, maybe I could take some pictures again. And then I don't know how, but I found extreme sets, and I didn't realize how big that deal was going to. So it was just one thing, like, it was just sort of like a snowball effect, really.
Yeah.
And that was it, really. My first shot was a picture of Cody. He had it was like a sort of a cardboard laminate, homemade TNT belt I got on eBay, and it was just sort of like And then from there, I was like, okay, well, what can I do with strings? And it just sort of snowballed from there. The amazing thing about like doing this is like the people you meet as well. Like the community really started opening up to me when and now like one of my best friends on Instagram, and I consider him like a really close friend in real life now. And I think Frank mentioned him. His name's Figure Four Photos.
Oh yeah,
on Instagram, and he was doing a lot of wrestling figure photography back then, and he sort of moved more towards other licenses now. But it was really him that was he's sort of saying, you know, why don't you try this? And without, you know, that can be quite a hit to an ego when someone says, oh, well, if you try doing this or that. But he was so supportive, and like I remember when I was trying to figure out a better way to light so I wasn't washing out the color in some of my videos, he was so patient with me, and it was just something that really like unlocked something in me, really made me then make sure that I was giving back to people who were showing me support and trying to like do the same for them. And and it's just carried on from there basically.
Oh man, that's so awesome! And this is actually very coincidental because today I actually had my first like conversation with Dylan. Like with
he's such a good dude. He's such a good dude.
Yeah, Frank had connected us. He was looking
cool.
You know, like you were saying, like he did the wrestling and he was looking for a Mezco group, and I said, I have a Mezco group you can join, so come on.
He's really got into Mezco, yeah.
Oh man, has that been yeah? So like. Here's a nice little segue. So do you have a focal point? Is it wrestling for, because you know, like you just said, you don't consider yourself a collector necessarily. So you know, like I've joked, but like I feel like it's true, but these are like paints and paintbrushes. So like what do you hone in on? Is it specifically wrestling? Is that the focal point?
It is at the moment, yeah. I do have tentative plans to sort of do photography outside of wrestling. I bought the Sentinel Miles recently because I thought I could do a little bit with Miles. But to be honest, it's with baby being literally days away, it's a little bit overwhelming trying to, because I want to learn. I want to try, instead of starting what feels like starting again, I want to try and learn how I'm going to light and shoot these and do it that way. So yeah, at the moment it's wrestling. Wrestling is what I know. You know, I've got a background in wrestling. I know, like, what I think I was known for early with when it comes to wrestling, it was like I knew about posing because, like, I have experience in knowing those techniques and stuff. And what I really want to be able to do is translate that into other forms. Do you know? I just what you see like on a page or in one of the movies, I want to be able to give that experience in a shot. Wow.
Right. No, I absolutely, like, posing for me is like one of like it's how I base a lot of my like buying decisions on is like the articulate and what kind of dynamic posing I can get out of a toy. Because I think trying to capture the, you know, figures in their most natural state is such like is like, to me, that's like the ultimate challenge. So yeah, like I'm not saying I always get there, but that's always my goal, is to try to get that natural look. All right, so wrestling figures are the focal point. I brought, you know, basically I have a ton of wrestling figures at my feet right now. So where are you leaning with Jazzwares and Elites and Mattel and Ultimates? Like, do you have a ranking of like favorites?
I think it's become a little bit more muddied more recently. I feel like when Jazzwares first came on, there was stuff that they had to work on, but it felt more like the articulation on those figures were easier to work with, and you know, they were really versatile in terms of, you know, being able to swap out pieces more easily. But now, obviously, Mattel are now doing that more with their Elite line, and they're doing a better job with their articulation, and you can now sort of pop off the heads more easily, and not have to burn yourself on hot water or your hair dryer.
Right.
So I think I still steer more towards Jazzwares, but I think that's more because I enjoy the AEW product more, to be honest. I feel more creatively infused by doing that than I do WWE. So I keep up with WWE now, but I can't watch the shows. I think the pacing is really out. I think it's all recaps, and it's all, you know, they're leaning heavily into that it's not a wrestling show now, and I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not a sports entertainment fan. Sorry, you'll notice I give the long version of every episode.
No, first of all, I love it. This is fantastic. That's why I'm letting you just like, I'm like, ooh, this is, and I love your accent. I love your voice.
I just really love talking, and I don't get to do it much, so I just love talking about it. But I would say Jazzwares at the moment.
Well, all I was going to tell you is I finally, like, I was buying the first wave. I started buying second wave. And slowly, like, when, getting back into stores and toy hunting, like I would start snatching them here and there. I've only opened 2 so far, and it's Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, the first wave one.
Mm-hmm.
They are incredible. Like where I get goosebumps, like what the buttery smooth feeling that these guys get with the, just the it's wonderful. Like I can't knock anything about these. Like I love the articulation. I love Orange Cassidy, the decision to give like that soft rubber for the pants, for the jeans with the pocket. I thought that was such a nice touch.
Yeah, no, they're great. I'm hoping they'll do a version where you can sort of better articulate, because it sort of hinders what you can do with that figure. But it is to look at and to display and to shoot in more sort of posed positions as opposed to move is beautiful. And that the Derby is probably like top 2 or 3 on in terms of what, pushing that articulation as well.
Okay.
The Derbies, I think all the Derbies, and I only have 2, but all the Derbies I've seen so far, I've really been a fan of.
Yeah. I was like legitimately blown away with these first 2. So like I was gonna show you a couple. So let's see. Maybe you can help me decide, because I have not been opening them. And now, like with our group, I'm like starting to get all excited. So like I have the pack,
that
first wave one. You can let me know which. Oh, I have that first Mox. Because I wanted the championship belt, even though I had the championship belt with where is he? This Jericho.
Oh yeah, I love that face scan is it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is something else. The late champion, man. So, what's been your favorite storyline out of AEW? Because I mean, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of like really good ones. And I wish I've been paying more attention. Like I've been more of like a weekly podcast guy where I get filled in. But yeah, like I guess when we lost crowds, that's where I kind of lost like being able to watch it weekly. that was a really tough one. Yeah. It was really tough. That Mania with the 2 cinematic matches were great, but then like that was like my swan song. So I stay up on it. I know exactly what's happening, just about, thanks to my podcast listening. But what's been your like favorite moment that like in recent history?
Was that moment or story? Sorry.
Well, storyline, moment, okay. Whichever one. Like I'm assuming it's from AEW, because those are all the big ones that I'm jumping to right now.
Yeah. So I think AEW wise, up until recently, I think the best told story for them was Hangman coming from, the initial loss to Jericho. Would it have been the initial All Out, and then the sort of trials and tribulations of him finally winning the belt from Kenny. I think that was brilliant. But more recently, the MJF and Punk stuff has been some of the best storytelling in wrestling in maybe 15 plus years.
Yeah.
There's one thing I've noticed about AEW, and I think it's comparative to so the MCU movies, right? Like you could go in as a casual and watch one, and it'd be it's a popcorn movie. It can be fun.
Sure.
But for those who have been there since Iron Man or whatever, you're rewarded with these finer details that they'll sort of sprinkle on top. And AEW does that really well, and they've done that with MJF and then Punk's program, in that they've sprinkled a lot of like Punk's ROH history in there, and they've taken sort of real life occurrences from MJF and really made you question, is he the bad guy, or is Punk the reason why he's the bad guy? Is Punk MJF's like evil origin story?
Sure.
And I just think that's been really great, and I think they're a good stopping point, and they could circle back around maybe in a year or so. But and I have to say, actually, early Roman, when he first won that belt, and him and his Jey Uso stuff was amazing. Like it was probably the best WWE stuff I've seen in a while. Just the psychological torment that he was putting Jay through. And
yeah,
again, it was all about those like this. That's what I really like in storytelling, is the subtleties. Don't hit us over the head.
right.
Give us something to really sort of think about, and that's what I loved about that. And yeah, those are probably my big ones, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Anything, I mean, like, to me, anything that I look fondly back on, like, you know, like what that I've actually gone to check out, like after the fact, like after listening to a podcast on a match, like, is a Roman thing in terms of WWE. Like, this was my first figure. This was the you know, the head of the, or wreck everyone and leave figure.
Yeah,
I mean, Roman was somebody that I was at WrestleMania 31 booing him and doing the Suplex City chant. You know, like I was in that crowd. I was that guy. But he has obviously won me over the whole, and this run has been just spectacular. So
yeah, and I'm 100% with you. I wasn't a Roman, like even a little bit a Roman fan. I was the dude cheering. Who was it in the Rumble that nearly eliminated him? I can't even remember. It was ages ago. I know when they were trying to push him down.
Rusev. Is that?
Was it Rusev? I can't remember, but
Rusev
I remember
was sleeping, I think, that first win.
But like, I remember when you can remember when Triple H won the Rumble and to win the belt. I was like, finally, an underdog wins against Roman, and to be that, actually, you know, for Triple H, I just yeah. But now he's turned me right around. I mean, I think it's going on a little bit long now with the Brock stuff, but yeah, I still think he's
Oh no, I'm with
amazing.
you as well. Like as much as I love, I mean, I'm a fan of this because again, I'm not like watching, you know, every second. So like I could say Viking Brock is killing me. He's like, cracking me up. Like whenever I see little bits, like, he looks like he's having a blast. Like I do like seeing happy-go-lucky Brock Lesnar. It's very funny. It cracks me up.
Yeah, no, it's good fun. Yeah, it seems like he's having fun for the first time. Have you know? Is that what you thought?
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like he's just straight up, like, I don't know what his end game is, but he definitely looks like he's having a blast right now. And again, I feel like that translates. That always comes off screen. It's when someone's having a good time. But yeah, I was gonna say, man, I really thought CM Punk coming back was gonna do it for me. And like I said, it hits me in all the feels. Now it's just a matter of finding that time to like work watching wrestling back in. And I think once, you know, I've been hearing a lot of rumors about HBO Max. Like once AEW gets that deal going where I can just throw it on, you know, like when I'm shooting and after I'm watching, you know, my other favorite, like, you know, YouTube toy videos, I could throw AEW stuff on. Because I still can't believe Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. So, you know, Bryan Danielson, I watched him in like early ROH, like first, like I was in that, like, I was literally on a DVD wearing Attitude Era Intercontinental Championship.
Oh, amazing.
Like the second or third show, I have that DVD somewhere. Good. Yeah.
Well, you were at one of the first ROH shows.
So. Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
It was really cool. My buddy at the time, you know, like we had both been out of wrestling. Like we were big Attitude Era guys. I went to school 2000, 2005, you know, like that range, early 2000s. So he's like, dude, do you ever watch ECW? I was like, no, not really. And he's like, but you know of it. I'm like, well, yeah, everybody knows. And he's like, there's this Ring of Honor. It's right in the same thing. And man, we were hooked. So I was like an early ROH guy. Did you ever play Extreme Warfare? Remember that game, Extreme Warfare Revenge, during that era?
EWR. Like yes.
Right. I tried finding that every couple of years. I either try to find like a flash drive or like a download of it. I'm never successful because that game was awesome.
That game was so good. I don't think I'd have the patience for it now though.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, I remember you could set who reviews your shows, and I didn't even know who Dave Meltzer was at the time. But I was like, he gives star ratings, so I want that one.
Yep,
I love that. It was such a good game, and you could download different packs, so you could book different eras and stuff like that. Yeah, that was a great game.
It was cool. I used to read at the top that during that era was Scott Keith, so I was like, oh, Scott Keith is there, kick, wham, stunner. Like it was such a goofy game. It was so goofy.
It was so good.
Oh man, so yeah, I still can't believe that like two of my favorite guys are on the same show in AEW, which like, you know, this is me just trying to build my street cred with you because like I'm such a bad wrestling fan now. Like I was at All In. I was at the first All In. We're like the All In, whatever, you know, pre AEW. You know, like I actually was into wrestling like way more at one point.
But I think empty arena shows really stuck some of the enthusiasm, and that's like I used to stick it on a second screen as I was working away at my day job, and that's the only reason I really watched it was like, oh, it almost sort of made me concentrate more having something to sort of have in the background. And then I tell you, when those they started letting people in Daly's place and people start singing Judas, like I have like goosebumps, and I get emotional because like you don't realize how much, like how much it adds to a show, but you don't realize how much it means to you.
Yeah.
And that was they were tough, but like I'm glad we're back now.
Yeah.
I'm almost taking it for granted now, and I need to sometimes remind myself. A couple of years ago, this was empty. Remember this.
That just gave me goosebumps. I know, but that's been a nice thing. Like, like I said, I've been trying to find more time to fit it back into my viewing schedule, and it is just so nice to. It just feels like the show again. So like I do think once I find a way to watch AEW faster, like I need like a highlight show.
You have to watch it on TV right now. You can't. So I watch it on the Fight app because we have it on one of our sort of national TV channels here, but it's always like 3 days later. We'd be behind. So there's a subscription service we can use for Fight, and basically it's kind of like a mini subscription version in the app. So I've got AEW whenever I want.
Okay.
But we don't have HBO Max. So if it goes to HBO Max,
then you're in.
I must figure something else out.
So that's just because, like, I don't know how you are, but like in my house, my wife is like, she wants like a cable box, she wants a cable guide, she likes live TV, she likes to be able to go through. So like we've never been cord cutters, and that's why like, all right, at least I get rewarded with HBO Max, but then I don't have stuff like that. That's why like I think because I have to watch everything through TNT, like their actual on demand, whatever they put on there. So they used to.
So you get the actual picture-in-picture stuff, whereas for me, it's the one screen all the way through. Picture-in-picture doesn't come to me because obviously the sponsors are not over here. So.
Right.
If you get it on HBO Max, it'll completely change the way you watch it. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking at my questions. I wanted to. I guess I had all this good stuff for. I think we've been like hitting on everything. I've been super pumped about this. Because I guess. So are you actively are you watching what? Actually, here we go. What is your current wrestling viewing? Because I know that there's usually 7 to 10 hours of live product a week. So where are you in that weekly viewing?
So for me, appointment TV when it comes to wrestling is at the moment it's just Dynamite and Rampage. And that's still quite tricky for me to fit in. So I'll normally wake up early on a Thursday morning, leave my phone over there and just watch. Or if there are stirrings of a debut, sometimes because I'm an idiot, I'll stay up and I'll like I stayed up to watch Jeff come into AEW.
Yeah.
And then Rampage is a little bit tricky because we don't let I've got a daughter who's just turned 4, and we don't really want her watching wrestling because even though I was definitely copying it by now, like we've agreed in a couple more years maybe. So like Rampage can be really tricky because obviously there's no school and there's no work, so it's sort of trying to find a place to watch Rampage, and it's normally Saturday night. And then for WWE, what I'll do, there's a really good YouTube channel, UK based one called Wrestle Talk, and they'll do reviews and they do like daily news videos, and they've got like their sensibilities fit mine. The way they deliver the news and their sensitivity on the tougher sort of sides of wrestling.
Right.
So that's what I'll do to keep up with WWE. And I used to have friends that didn't work there, but had friends who worked there. So I used to be more like of an inside man, but with all the releases, like a bunch of those they're just gone now. They're just gone.
Oh man. So, we started out because what time are we looking at? Oh, 8:20. All right, so I know that you're the late guys. That's why I want to make sure
I'm here. I'm loving this. I'm here as long as you need.
All right. So all right. So I asked you about the early, your early favorite toys. So now in terms of your specific collecting, I was looking down at my wrestling stuff. So with your wrestling, because that's your main lines right now. What are your go-to or your top? You mentioned Darby, but what are some of your favorite figures at the moment?
At the moment, so I've not shot with Jazzwares for a little while. That Sammy's always great to go to. I can never remember what series it is. I'm really bad at that. So not a collector. I really like the Sammy. I really like the Derby. The ringside exclusive Cody is a really nice one. I recently picked up an Elite though because I'm doing an Austin. I'm working on an Austin thing, and the WrestleMania. I don't know if that still works.
Yeah.
I've really liked this actually. There's a feel to the Elites more recently that it feels different. It feels a little bit more premium in the hand. I think it might be the pinless double jointed
that might be
elbows now. But I'm because of the sort of changes going on at the moment with me. I've got a lot of stuff that I've already shot and banked, but I'm not like I used to be shooting every day, and whereas now it's sort of like I've got to find the room now because my old studio space has been changed into a children's bedroom.
I do know that feeling. Like I said, I feel I've joked about it on the show before, but in my basement, it's eventually going to be a kid's toy room, and they're going to be 3 in June. So my time, I'm like, either that or I have to figure out another plan.
You're gonna look back in a couple of years, and it's gonna be real nostalgic for you.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. Like the funny thing about having this YouTube channel and doing the lives is it's gonna be like a parenting journey as much of like a collector and like photography journey. It's gonna be a nice little way to look back.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
that my kids will ever bother. I already feel like I've made up my mind. They're never gonna look at this stuff.
Well, I've got a 10-year-old son, and I was like, he'll eventually get into wrestling. He couldn't care less. He doesn't care. Every time I'm like, do you want to watch wrestling with me? He's like, nah, I'm just gonna watch my tablet, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, that's the thing. I don't want to. Oh man, there's so many hobbies though. There's so many interests that I've had that I've even at this age I've been throwing at my kids. So who knows what they're gonna turn into? But it's fun. It is a fun journey. So I know what you were talking about. I happen to love. Speaking of toys, real quick, I really do love the like Ultimates line.
Definitely.
Jazzwares. What's the name of their version of Ultimates? They're
Supreme.
doing the Supreme. Okay.
Supreme.
Did any of those go on go live yet? Because I'm very interested in the Malachi Black. Like I really want his.
I think he's series. Is he 2? I think he's series 2.
So they're not coming out for a while, right?
No, so they put up Unrivaled 9, and they're not shipping till August, which really surprised me because it's unless they're putting out Unmatched earlier, which I wouldn't have thought so because you thought they'd gone up as well.
Sure,
but that's quite a long time. They're normally month to month, aren't they, or every 2 months? But they haven't. I don't think I've missed it if they have. They've not said when the Supremes are coming.
Okay. Did you get the Brody Lee 2-pack? Did you
not yet? Not yet. Okay. I probably will. It's really tricky for me because I used to order from Ringside every single time. I was like, right, the figures don't normally get to the UK for a few months after. We're just now getting Unmatched 1.
Oh wow!
And we're on Unrivaled 7, which isn't so bad,
Right.
But still, so I was like, no, I've got to get them now. I need to shoot them before anybody else does. And I paid for the most expensive shipping. And it just, I was working and I was like, I'm paying more than half of what I would for a whole set just to get them to me. So I'm trying to be a little bit more patient. I'm trying to wait for them to get here.
Yeah.
But having said that, the exclusives, I do make an exception. I will pick up that 2-pack probably at the end of the month, I would have thought.
Yeah, that's a very and again, it hits me in the dad vibes, the dad feels. So I was just like, oh, that's Brody. I gotta pick up. That's a great 2-pack. So
and I don't know if I'll even shoot that. I'm not sure what it's the same with. I haven't picked up the Brody yet because I don't know how I feel about shooting him. And obviously you don't have to shoot him in action and stuff like that. But it's just there's something I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I'm just not sure.
Well, it's interesting. It's one of those figures, and I'm sure you have these too. Like, I mean, I will buy. There's some stuff that I buy instantly, and I just go, I'm gonna sit on this until there's an actual idea that hits. And for me, it'll stay. I don't know. Do you do any kind of tubs or stick them in the closet? Because that's a toy that I was like, I need to have it but I don't have any ideas either. Like I just want to have it in the house. Like that was it for me. But meanwhile,
no, you carry. Yeah.
I was just gonna. You go, Cal.
Okay. I was gonna say, I don't know about you, but I talked myself into getting something. Like, so I'm like, well, if you don't get it now, you might be paying double for that in 2 months. And like, that's half BS, but it's half true, right? Like, if you missed out by a week or two, like for example, those they re-released the Ultimates for Brock and for Michaels.
Yes.
You know after the summer that they're just going to go right back up again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really frustrating part of doing what we do. I think it's I've paid over £100 for a Billy Gunn figure. All right, Billy Gunn is like one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, I'll do it for that one.
Right.
And then he got here and he had a split in one of his knee pads, and I had to change his foot because it was the wrong way around. And
isn't that just the worst? I know. This hobby finds a way to make us so happy and so sad at the same time. It's insane. I don't understand it. But no, I totally understand what you mean. There are those figures like sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. So I totally understand. Man, I saw Billy Gunn wrestle at that All In. That guy's enormous.
He's so big,
a massive dude.
I met him at like a con here like 10 years ago, and I look like a toddler. I'm not a big deal. I'm 5'6". I'm probably 180, I think. And I was like, I really want to meet Billy Gunn, and like I wasn't prepared for how loud he was gonna be.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh hi, nice to meet you, blah blah blah. And I was like, I saw a lot of people just taking pictures on their phones, and I was like, well, you're not getting paid for that. So I was like, oh, I'll get a picture on my phone, which is all I really wanted, and then I'll get like a signed picture. I'm not big on signed stuff, but I was like, I just felt polite.
Yeah.
And I sort of asked him, and like quite timidly, because he was like a hero of mine, and he was like, sure thing, buddy. And like everybody was looking at me, and I just sort of shrunk even further down into myself. And Hurricane Helm's over there. My friend had just done like a summer traveling with him, and he'd sort of told me some stuff that he wasn't as big a fan. And I automatically had that in my head. And he was looking at me, and I was like, "Oh, is he being?" But that was just me carrying stuff. But that was a weird day.
That's
because you want to have these interactions with these people that really sort of were heroes to you, and you want them to be meaningful, but you also don't want to overstep or anything like that. And I forgot how to speak. I tried to sort of tell him about a story about how him and The Rock, when they were working together, I was rooting for, and it just came out in I don't even remember, like, but it wasn't a well structured sentence. Just so bad.
Oh well, it sounds like a better. I've only ever had one meeting, like a pro wrestler back, like in the backstage or whatever, and it was Bam Bam Bigelow, and I was 25 and I was a little buzzed, and it was like this outdoor Jersey Shore like indie show, and I was like, hey, Mr. Bigelow, can I get your autograph? And as he's signing, I decided to go, man, why'd you take the L to LT? Without looking up. I felt like such a jerk in the fact, just 250 large, and handed me the thing, and I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to insult, because I respected the guy. Like, even at, I was 23 or 22, 21, I don't even know, but like this like I felt bad even then, like even when I was a child watching WrestleMania. What was that, 14? No, 11, right? It was at 11.
Bad numbers. It's too many numbers now. There's too many.
Yeah. But whatever WrestleMania that was, I man, even then I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like Bam Bam's here all the time. Like, and I'm a Giants fan.
It was weirder for me because I didn't know who this guy, from the UK. I didn't even know who this guy was.
Right.
And I don't even think I was watching at the time, but I remember like after the fact being like, what's the big deal? Like, and not realizing he might be nobody to me, but actually in America there's plenty of fans.
Well, it still hurt me, but yeah, I hopefully he didn't take it the wrong way. I think he just wrote me off just like every other jackass that was there that night.
I'm sure.
But it was cool. It was cool. Another large man. Like, seriously, pro wrestlers are enormous. Like they are so big.
There are dudes that you think are normal sized, and then they're not.
No. And it's just funny, like hearing Billy Gunn, you talk about Billy, because again, I haven't met him up close, but that's like in these podcasts I listen to, like his name is always, because he's still wrestling too. Like the guy looks fantastic and he's almost 60. Like
yeah, I don't understand it.
And he's got the talent. His son's doing all right too, right?
Yeah,
Is it just the one son, or is it you got
two? They're in a tag team.
That's what I thought. All right. See, I gotta get better. All right. Well, Cal, I think I'm out of talking material. Unless you want to start going through, I could start showing off all these stupid, so many of these toys. Honestly, this is one that I've been dying to open for a long time.
That's a beauty.
That Pentagon. I didn't even get Ray.
That's what I was going to say. Ray is probably my favorite AEW Jazzwares to work with, actually. So I've got the two.
Okay.
And whenever I have an idea for a match or whatever, I'm always really like into and surprised by what I can do with that one.
Sure.
I think I've even got they released those, I don't know if you saw them, they're like Jazzwares t-shirts, and it's like the figure form of Ray. And that's probably my favorite, actually, those two Ray figures.
Interesting. Okay. See, I was a big I was a Lucha Underground fan, so I fell in love with Pentagon and Ray back during those days. And like I honestly just kind of wanted them to, I don't know, they're an amazing tag team, but I would love to see what they could do solo. I don't know.
Did you see the match that Ray had with Omega when Omega first won the belt, the AEW belt?
I heard about it, but I have to go back. That's another one on my list.
And that's an empty arena one, so it's quite. But even an empty arena, it was blowing my socks off.
All right, man. Some of that stuff, the Mil Muertes, that was some good stuff, right? Lucha, were you into that?
I haven't seen a lot of it because it was difficult to get here, and I've been trying to get it since to sort of go back.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes, but it was before like Penta was doing anything there.
Sure.
And, I just wish it was easier to get over here. It's tried a couple of times and it just. Yeah.
If you ever, because like I know at least here it was on Netflix, they had a run for a little while, but it is tremendous. Like as a written wrestling show, it's really, really well done.
What I've seen, I've really loved. Yeah. The over dramatic sort of promo styles and stuff. It was really different as well. And I might be wrong, but I think some of the team that worked on that were working on the TNA stuff, and I think they might now work with some of the more cinematic AEW.
Oh, for sure,
stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, they were trailblazing. Really, they were doing stuff that no one else, and no one has still really matched that. Like we've had a few, like that Fiend cinematic match was amazing, but like there's something really grungy and dirty about the way they shot those backstage segments. They were great.
Yeah. So again, like that, I can't recommend that enough in terms of like the amount of quality wrestling storylines, but infusing that comic book, like, people died. There was finality. Like it was really cool. Like again, something that you would never see normally in like a pro wrestling show. It was very cool. So I do always recommend that. And another trying to get people that wouldn't otherwise be in wrestling would be Glow on Netflix. Like that was another. Yeah.
Love Glow.
And I try to like, I feel like that's like, if I can get people into either one of those, I'm like, then there's a chance that they'll like appreciate the art form that, pro wrestling that we enjoy.
I think for people like us, it'll always be an uphill battle. Like, I think they either get into it by themselves or, I don't think I've talked anybody out like that's not part of the community to come over here like, look, take pictures of wrestling here. Like actually maybe 2 or 3, but they're more supporting me than they care about anything about wrestling. I think so.
Oh man, well, Cal, like I'm gonna start wrapping things up because I know the Lazy Boys have started their stuff, and it's a sunny night. I appreciate you staying up late for us to have this conversation tonight, man. And I know that I have work tomorrow, and I have about an hour before my wife goes to bed, so this is our time to unwind before the week. But seriously, Cal, thank you so much. So is there anything
that having me?
You'd like to promote, any influences, any friends that you'd like to tell us about, YouTubes, like any of the things?
Yeah, I think I think people who watch this already know about Frank. Frank is it can't be said enough. Frank is just a genuinely really great and supportive dude in that community. Mm-hmm. He's always there. He's always sharing the love. He's always being really supportive. So, he's around the toys. We talked about Dylan, who's Figure 4 Photos.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a really good friend. Him and Frank actually got me through that time where I lost my account. And I'm not sure I would have, they kind of talked me into just starting the new one. And I'm not sure where I would be if I didn't listen to those guys. Dark Rain and Figure Kingdom are also two really talented dudes and good friends. But other than that, there's so many people that support me, and I've the worst memory, and we could be here forever. So I'm just really I'm really thankful for any support I get. It's when you're having the worst day and you post something and then somebody tells you how much they like it, or what one detail they like, it's sort of really, it can give you that boost that you need. So
it is Cal. It is absolutely true, man. There's like this community, the hobby, just it definitely is a way to keep you going. I'm just focusing. It helps me focus on the positive. Just keep it moving. But this has been a pleasure. Again, getting to meet people like you, man. This is so cool. Friends across an ocean. Think about it. I still always it blows my mind. 50 years.
And I just want to say as well, I'm so grateful that you've had me on. I really enjoyed chatting with you. I feel like I could chat for hours about this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. So
and I'll definitely have to have you back on once you get through the newborn infancy stage. Might
be a few more bags.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I'm, like I said, I'm hitting that 3-year-old. So we've gotten to sleep, but then it's like the chasing. We're in the chasing stage. So it's keep us busy and moving. But seriously, so best of luck with being a daddy again, and again, thank you for coming on, and everybody, thank you for joining. And if you're watching the replay, thank you again for spending part of your life listening to us talk about toys and wrestling and things that we love. So it is greatly appreciated. And just to remind everybody, next week, Autumn Night, so from Instagram, that's King Eternal over here on YouTube, is going to be joining me. And we're going to talk about Ninja Turtles. And then the 27th is Toy Addict 17. And Cal, I think that's it, man. Whew. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful Sunday night. Great week. And I still don't have an ending. So no Chewy gave me one, and I totally spaced. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you.